Yes, everyone, what's going on? My name is Stephen Howson, and we have got a match day preview. Joe, why? Because we've actually got a match day on the horizon, and I actually think it's a very juicy one. I think it might be coming a little bit too early in pre-season because I don't think Solskjaer's quite got the system and the mentality and everything into everybody's legs just yet. But Leeds United is a fantastic game, not just for the history, but because of what Bielsa's team actually brings to the table for Manchester United to face off against. Now, I wouldn't suggest looking into pre-season and thinking that there's anything in it whatsoever. If the result is bad, only the performance matters. Now, and people go, hang on, you just say the result doesn't matter, but the performance does. Yeah, because I'm looking at passages of play, I'm looking at conditions of the game, and I'm looking at United to try and overcome certain things that this team does. And I actually think that Leeds, although from a fan's perspective, it's not a smart move for us to play someone like Leeds United on a pre-season tour because there's all sorts of talk of aggro that's going to happen for this. Hopefully that isn't the case, but what I do think is the case is that this will be a brilliant test for United in terms of pure footballing. So if we have a quick look at what Leeds United are going to offer then. So we have got Kamal Roof was their leading scorer last season with 15 in 34. Wasn't amazing. If they'd had a couple more goals in them, they probably would have managed to actually get that promotion that they was chasing. Bamford is their most expensive signing. Obviously, we know fully about him. He's been there a long time now. They did battle for promotion quite hard throughout the season before dropping off hard around about January and February, finishing third on 83 points. Pretty respectable. 6 points off an automatic promotion spot. They were unbeaten in their first 8 games of the season, showing Bielsa's impact like pretty much immediately. They went unbeaten for an entire month, going from the 24th of November to the 26th of December, all wins. Their form dipped in the last 4 games where they lost 3 out of 4. But they, for me, were a very competitive side throughout the entire length of the season, and they had some really interesting tactical things which I think are going to be really interesting to see how United line up against them, because they're a team that presses. We are a team that is looking to try and develop a press, but there's a couple of things in how they press which might lead us in to a very good stead for when we come up against the likes of City and Liverpool, who are undoubtedly the ones that are setting the standard in the Premier League at the moment. So Leeds United tactics, they started off in a 4-1-4-1 formation, but that sort of evolved into the 3-3-1-3, which Bielsa is sort of known for. The defensive midfielder drops in between the 2 centre-halves, the 2 full-backs start to push on, and that creates that first 3. That defensive midfielder becomes a ball-playing centre-half and gives them another centre-half that is in the mix, or another person in the position of a centre-half from that baseline. The attacking midfielder becomes an absolute all-attacking midfielder with basically no defensive work whatsoever, and they rush into the box. The other one being a number 10 who totally dictates the play and dominates the possession for them. That's how they like to do it. In defence, the 4-1-4-1 is what they switched to, and that's obviously apparent. Bielsa is well known for this hard-working press, and I think one of the keys to why they were very successful in the Championship last season is because most of the teams in the Championship are not Manchester City's level when it comes to passing it out around the back. The defenders are a little bit more English traditional, where they're quite hard, quite direct, quite firm, pretty good in the air. And that led Leeds United's forwards pressing high up the pitch to win possession in places where their defence, the opposition defence, couldn't quite deal with what they was coming at. So Leeds United got a lot of real good turnover in great positions for them there. Defensive midfielder, still defensive, and he stays in front of a back 4, so you can expect them to deny space when United are looking to try and get in and around all those. But the downfall is very much what we saw with United as well, with the way Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side fell off in that sort of second half of the reign of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer post-PSG. Fitness, injuries. These are all apparent in Leeds United last season and probable factors in how they fell off in terms of their attempt to get promoted. We saw the same sort of thing at United. We saw little niggling injuries. People couldn't quite recover from injuries. It's just too intense. Now, once a team does get into the rhythm of it, as we've seen with Jurgen Klopp, as we've seen with Manchester City, it becomes difficult and it becomes a very good system where other people can start coming into it, but you have to get your first 11 into it, and it can take some time to do that. So Bielsa being way more ahead of where Solskjaer is in his development is a fantastic test from a footballing perspective for what United are going to come up against next season in the Premier League in the top half. Now, yeah, Leeds United don't have the quality, and they've only actually travelled with 16 players, which I think is mental, and Bielsa only arrives tomorrow on the day of the game to take charge in the dugout before they then move on to Sydney to play their second game. They've left half of their squad to still work on fitness because he didn't think they were ready, which tells me that he's more interested in getting the squad ready than fulfilling the commercial responsibilities of a club, which is amazing, I think. The way they use their press is going to be interesting for what United are going to do as we go forward. And how United are going to deal with this is going to be very, very, very interesting because we don't have defenders all over the park that are able to be press resistant and be able to play through a press. That's why we're hopefully buying somebody like Maguire. That's why I like to see what Axel could do against these guys. So if I had to go and say, here's the team that I would like to see United line up with, this is how I am going to go. I think it's going to go with a B11 in the first half and an A11, like more what feels like a first choice 11 in the second half, because I think that we want to finish strongly in these games. And I think that even if we go behind to Leeds, I don't think they've got the firepower to put more than one goal past us in a half. So I reckon that we could possibly even give them our weaker 11 in the first half and then go for it in the second half with what we consider our stronger 11. Hopefully we're a little bit further ahead in fitness. One, because we're a Premier League team. Two, because we have been in pre-season a little bit longer than them. So first 11, I think it was going to be very, very similar to what we saw the other night. I'm going to go with Romero in goal, Dalot and Ashley Young at fullback. I'm going to go with Jones alongside Axel Tuanzebe, who I thought was probable shout for man of the match, but for what everybody else was doing in the final third. Axel was phenomenal. I'm going to go with Matic and Pereira and hope that them guys can dominate a little bit of the ball and help pull the ball from defence. With Axel in there, it's not a major issue. Phil Jones is actually pretty good on the ball for all of his sins as well, so I think that those two are going to be a little bit more press resistant than you're going to see from the likes of Chris Smalling, who, if I'm thinking right, Leeds are definitely going to target. Ahead of those, I'm going with the 4-2-3-1 in this system. Jesse in the middle with Chong, and I've gone with Angel Gomez instead of Dan James in this one. I've switched those two around. I'd like to see what Dan James can do with the movement and the quality of Marcus and Mason, because I thought that James and Chong lacked a little bit in the final third in terms of pure quality of ball. The movement of both of them was fantastic. They both ran with the ball. They both offered options off the ball, but I thought the quality wasn't there. And the one thing that Angel delivers is quality. So I'm looking for Angel to try and link up with Tony Marshall and for Tony Marshall to start sticking the ball away. Don't be surprised, though, to see Lukaku start in one of these halves. I just got a sneaky suspicion he's going to start, and it might mean that Marshall or Rashford move to the left wing to accommodate him, and I'm not happy about that, but I think that might happen. Otherwise, I would like to see Angel just putting those little dinking balls round the corner in for Tony Marshall to run onto. I think he's trying to take too many touches inside the box, and he did fantastic to get that shot off against Perth. I don't think he's going to get that sort of time against Leeds, so I'm hoping someone like Angel can put the ball on a plate for him and he can stick it away, because they did lack that final ball. Jesse's not known for that final ball. Chong isn't really known for that final ball. James isn't known for that final ball, so I've gone with Angel in there to try and give them that little bit of quality and hope that Pereira can also provide that as well. My second 11, my A11 if you like, my more first choice 11, let's get David De Gea in there. Let's see how he can get down, and I'm going with a back four of Wan-Bissaka. I have chosen Shaw for the first choice 11 because we did watch him in training and he looked all right, so I'm thinking he's probably going to be okay to play. There may be someone that they're thinking of, possibly a Rojo as a backup, but I don't really want to see him starting. I'm going to say Lindelof, because that's your press-resistant defender if he's got someone decent alongside him. Unfortunately, he's got Chris Smalling alongside him. It'd have been interesting to see how Axel did alongside Lindelof, and if they play that at any point during the game, that's going to be interesting to see. My midfield, I'm going for McTominay, who has impressed me of late, alongside Paul Pogba, and Juan Mata, who in the middle is absolutely the dog's bollocks. And I think with the runners of Mason, Marcus and Dan James ahead of Juan Mata and Paul Pogba, we're going to be fine in terms of creating stuff. So I can't wait to see how that's going to go off. And then, like I said, the forward lineup of Mason, who, trust me, when this kid gets a goal, it's going to be multiples. It's going to be 2 or 3 once he finally starts to put the ball in the back of the net. Marcus Rashford and Dan James as well, because I'd like to see how he can do with a little bit more quality around him, and maybe coming at players that are going to be a little bit more tired. If Leeds are only bringing 16, they're not going to change all 11 clearly at half time, are they? So they're going to be tireder, and let's see what Dan James does running at fresh legs. That's what I'm thinking in terms of the 2 starting 11s. Don't take too much into the result. What we're looking for is passages of play. So the 3 things that I would say that we need to be looking out for is escaping the press. Watch how Leeds press Manchester United's defenders, and watch how we get that either around or into midfield and see how we deal with that. Look how we deal with it in the final third. In terms of creating chances, we are working the ball into the box. That's what we're looking at Angel for. That's what we're looking at Juan Mata for. That's what we're looking at even Mason Greenwood for a little bit as well. We're working that ball into the box. We're not crossing it from deep. We're not really even crossing it from the byline. We're getting into the edges of the box, and then we're cutting it back for that easy pass. That's what I want to see more of. And finally, keep an eye on what we're doing at set pieces, especially from corners, because I think we're getting ready for slabhead. That's the 3 things I want you to look out for in this game. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Laters.